With the next thing on the themes, I don't know if you want to get into the you want to get into the creation of the Big Bang Theory or
Sure, that's fine. I feel like this is kind of where they get into like the science jargon a little bit, where
Yep.
where I know the manga goes into the idea of the Big Bang Theory and the initial explosion being like a singularity event. I didn't from watching it again when I watched it recently. I'm still not sure if that's actually what happened, or at least it doesn't come across that like that to me. Is like yes, Akira, the Espers, Tetsuo, they go somewhere else. They're no longer here. 100% agree. But like the idea that like they went and created their own universes, it probably goes into that in the manga. But
for me, it begs the question: we're dealing with number 25, 26, 27, and 28.
right, what happened to all the
All
other
the ones
ones?
before, how many times have they had to do the same thing, create a singularity, like an event horizon, and take all of this out of control power explosion into another universe? How many little different universes have they created?
I kind of figured there were 20 something kids who just died, like didn't reach
How
like.
would you kill them?
I think Akira is the only one that reached that status that Tetsuo reaches.
Seems to me like every time you try to kill them, they go out of control and blow up
I
or
don't know.
blow you up. They don't blow themselves up. They they wipe out entire cities.
Yeah.
So I'd love to kind of get into that more background of this and find out if
You would think that they would, because the Akira event is one of those events. You would think we would know about other events if that were the case.
yeah, how many times did it happen before there was like a lot of recorded history, or did they have kids
Oh, you see, I would
with a
take it
little bit?
that the because what number was Akira?
Kira's number 28,
Yeah, 28. So
and
in
the
my
Espers
thought,
are
it's like the Espers are like the like all the Espers knew each other kind
yeah.
of thing. That's kind of how I took it. I'm again maybe wrong. Maybe wrong. It might go into it
Oh,
in the
I have
manga.
no idea if
Yeah,
if that's extra
yeah,
detailed at all. It's just
yeah. I don't know how they would count them if unless they knew who was one. I don't know how they would count them up to 28.
yeah,
Yeah,
it could be the random disasters across the world before then were different
yeah.
Akira showing up, almost like the Matrix. And how many times did
How
they
many
have to
Neos?
reinsert Neo
Mm-hmm.
before you just recycle the whole thing? And kind of gets you into the whole like legacy of the movie discussion. Is like, did the Matrix take any influence from any of this or not?
Right.
Yeah, they definitely sort of throw in. I like the science. Would you say the science jargon? Or
Yeah. The scientific lingo jargon. Yeah,
yeah, I, that's a good broad sloppy term for the
yeah.
whole thing. Um, I guess Kyoko towards the end of I don't know if it's towards the end or the first time she kind of talks about the whole thing.
I think timeline wise, like toward the middle,
Yeah, in the middle. I might have been when
because it's before it's she's talking about all that with the colonel before Tetsuo comes in and just destroys the uh like what do you call it, the nursery.
yeah the little I was going to say the rainbow room, but
Yeah,
that's in Stranger Things
yeah. The baby
again.
room. What do they call it?
I think it is the baby
The
room.
baby room.
That
Yeah, because she had that bassinet that had the glass dome over it, and he destroyed that.
but Kyoko gets into this whole little diatribe about how that the energy that makes Tetsuo and Akira powerful is the same force that drives all life,
Yeah,
and that's that whole sort of nonsensical thing that people try to talk about with dark matter and stuff around the Big Bang Theory, and then you ask them to explain that, and they're like, "Well, we can't." And you're like, "Okay," but she talks about how the amoebas and the fish and the humans that build cities are all that they're all the same and they're all using the same energy and not differentiating at all between people that are created in the image of God with the ability to create and to think and to make things with amoebas. And that's that whole science thing that it stands out to me because when I see that stuff in any kind of show or movie or anything, it always seems like they're so serious and they think this is their chance to show to you that this is this is the science and it's right. And then once they start talking, it just sounds so stupid. It just makes me laugh. But um, the Esper's job, I guess, according to Kyoko, is to guide the energy
Right.
and take it to the ultimate safe state, so that a new world is born, just like before. And
Through a crazy big explosion that destroys a bunch of stuff.
yeah, and it's the
Yeah,
idea,
sure.
the idea that so many people have that man can control nature.
Right. Well,
Whether you want to say
it's
we can stop climate change by taking away your truck.
it's
And
the it's it's the oldest it's the oldest sin of man, the sin to be like gods.
yeah,
And that's totally what the whole thing about the espers and humanity and amoebas craving power and letting that power consume them because they want to be like God.
yeah,
I mean, even like I said, I don't know if I'm someday I'll read the manga, uh, but I am interested to know if the manga gets into the idea that, well, Akira left and created a universe. Tetsuo left and created a universe. I didn't get that. I just got they transcended. They did go beyond our world, but I always took it as like not a heaven, but just like a higher state of conscious being. That's where they went.
yeah.
Because if Akira created his own universe, so he left his universe. So like the god of another universe came back to usher in another god to another universe. That seems a bit bloated. If you
kind of
if
like the
you
kind of like the
kind of
big
like
kind of like
Tetsuo,
the Big Bang
yeah,
Theory.
but and like Tetsuo, but if you use the word, it just seems a bit bloated for the film, for what it might be trying to say. I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah,
I think just the idea that there's something in humanity that causes us to want to continue to not only grow and strive to be better and strive to do better, strive to achieve more, but also strive to consume. Going back to the whole amoeba thing,
yeah,
I think that's enough. I don't think you need to get into the whole kind of like thinking about Shin Godzilla. Like, okay, he grew, he's huge, and he started to mutate into like individual like people versions of Godzilla. That's interesting. But then you look at what they planned, and he was going to become a planet and then a galaxy.
he was going to start consuming other galaxies.
Right. And like
Yeah,
that idea is cool, but you don't really need all that to say what you want to say.
yeah. Kyoko goes on to talk about how humanity chooses to make a new and better future, which again is that whole idea that man is going to control nature.
Yeah.
She talks about how transformation slash evolution, I think she says transformation more often than the word evolution,
Hmm.
is always underway. Um, and that characters are returning to the energy pool that somehow has consciousness. Which,
That is a very Eastern concept, though.
yeah,
That it's like the whole Gaia theory, where when you die, you go back into the energy of the universe, and then you get reborn. I mean, that's a cultural thing, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. The again, I'm always fascinated by like scientists, and I think that's where a lot of sci-fi is kind of born out of, is people that think they've read about some super new science theory and stuff like that. And if we made this into a fiction, what would
Yeah.
we do?
Well,
How they're
so,
trying to always prove something other than the creation story.
yeah, science is constantly doing that. The latest thing I recently saw was they had some sort of imaging that they did of the Earth, and every like 27 seconds, there's some sort of pulse that the Earth has. And the way they were framing this, I didn't read the article. I just saw the headline. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I scrolled by. I'm like, I don't feel like getting into that. But it said that scientists think the Earth may actually be alive. I'm like, okay, scroll past. But that the little blurb that I did read said that it's because of this like pulse. They attributed it like a heartbeat. Okay, just because something's pulsing doesn't mean that's a heartbeat, but whatever. But anyway, that it kind of goes into that where it's they are always trying to discover God without acknowledging God.
Too many people are fascinated with like this version of rebirth, or something that will start everything over so that it'll be better next time,
Yeah.
because that's the easiest way to face the reality and deny like what your purpose here is,
Mm-hmm.
and that having to acknowledge what you've done with your time versus what you could have done with your time. People here get into their selfish pursuits and stuff all the time, and then I mean, this dude sat around and drew comics for 7 days a week, almost,
Yeah.
12 to 14 hours a day. So I'm sure he's got a little bit of regret probably going on there. So
I don't know. He created something that's gonna last. So
yeah, it's I don't think when people are going to be like, man, I really miss that Otomo guy. It's going to be more like, hey, have you seen Akira?
yeah,
You'll attribute it to him, but it's not going to be. That's a different memory than like your kids and your grandkids remembering you,
right.
kind of thing, and passing on stories and stuff about you. But that
Does he have children?
oh, I did
I have
not
no
see.
idea. I didn't look into his personal life at all.
I did not look into it. I think
One of
when I saw his name there, it had his like place of birth and his age, and didn't list anything else. So I'm guessing not. But
one of the speaking of the idea that humans constantly grow and we evolve and change and all that, it's interesting that in the Esper's case, in Akira and Tetsuo, they grew and they evolved and they became something more than human. To what? To what end? Like, okay, so they go to another plane
over.
to start over in
To start
another
over and make
plane
it
of
better again.
existence.
Yeah.
And what about this existence? Like their transcendence doesn't benefit the humans here in any way.
So,
if anything, it's a detriment to us.
So you're saying that people that don't believe in God are pretty good at throwing away life?
Yeah, they definitely threw away.
So they can have a better future.
I mean, that's all what it is. They sacrifice the rest of us so that they can go on to do something better.
Never
heard and that's what the Espers are doing.
Never heard of anybody that claims to be like a big science guy ever pushing forth anything like
no,
that.
Definitely not.
Or releasing any kind of virus trying to do that. But the theory that something came from nothing and that nothing was a dense state that evolved is always one of those things where you're like,
well, all of that. There are so many different tendrils to that from the Big Bang Theory. The idea that we came from a infinitesimal point and everything.
They get to the point they can't explain anything, and they start to like try to use math and come up with these theories about dark energy and dark matter, and it's just like, why don't you just say that you don't know and that you're just making up stuff at this point?
Well, the tendrils that come off of the Big Bang Theory and the different theories that have been proposed to explain the Big Bang Theory are all just suppositions. It's like I've heard that, like, okay, well, the Big Bang, before the Big Bang Theory, there were other universes. That's a popular one. That the universe can't, like, our universe, similar to this. The Akira would follow this. Our universe came from another universe. That's one that's I've heard.
I hear what was here before the cosmos, and people are like, well, nothing. And then your next question says, like, so nothing exploded, and then you get that look on their face where most people aren't able to try to start explaining what they think dark matter is.
There is a mathematical equation, and I am not good in math, and I'm not smart enough to fully understand this, but I can at least tell you what I do understand. Where, like, the number 0 is indistinguishable mathematically from the concept of infinity. So nothing exploded, but everything exploded. It's like double speak. Like, I'm literally that's as far as I understand. I follow what they're trying to say, but I don't understand it. Yeah.
Can't admit that we were created. Go through all these lengths to go through to just overlook the obvious that we were created. We sinned right out of the gates. The God removes those sins and forgives us, and we are not good enough to earn it. But we live our lives trying to be good. Those who believe we try, we make mistakes, we learn, we accept responsibility, and we try again. That's kind of the cycle of our life. Atheism and science, they want a world where they're never wrong and that they're not responsible and it's always someone else's fault. And if these people wouldn't do this or these people wouldn't do that, we'd have a utopia. Mm-hmm. If they weren't rich, then
if everyone would just do what I want.
Yeah. if they weren't rich, then if they didn't consume so much, then we wouldn't have to worry about who's rich and all this, and it's always somebody else's fault. And it's like that that whole I was just it kind of got me into into all this again after watching the movie, because you see all that science mumbo jumbo stuff that they kind of throw out here, and it looked to me like just another attempt. I've seen it so many times of people trying to put out this theory of, it's like when you talk about the girl in Midnight Mass, when she starts describing what she thinks happens when she dies, and she just basically says the same thing.
Yeah.
That we're all cosmic farts, and
Yeah.
and then we all just
Yeah.
return to a
They
source
they
of
say
energy.
they say it a little less eloquently.
Yeah. Yeah. My version is saying the exact same thing. I'm saving some words.
You know, after a few months after Midnight Mass, thinking back about the fact that they they included all that commentary and everything, it's like that was really out of place. Like it didn't really fit the whole. Hey, there's a demon this guy found in the Middle East.
I guess is why I bring it up here, because it cracks me up when people they look for that opening to be like, oh, this is where I can tell people and I can prove that I'm right, and then they have a chance to prove it, and they come out and they're like,
well,
cosmic fart, dark matter. I'm like,
I mean,
okay,
we all like our soapboxes, right? Wave to the camera. We like our soapboxes, but I think that's what a lot of creatives do. They get to a point where they're like, I have something to say, and I'm going to say it somewhere. Yeah. That's one of the things I find frustrating about a lot of YouTube videos where they're like theology and philosophy YouTube videos. Like I've listened to a lot of like the new atheists and stuff like that, just to, hey, let's hear what you got to say. And then as I'm listening to it, I'm like, you know, I have something to say about that, but like if I just go in the comments, like no one's going to talk. No one cares.
Yeah.
But you're on your soapbox and you can say it to the world. So hey, yeah.
I love Akira.
Oh yeah,
because of the style and the storytelling and the animation, and I love what it opened the door for. It kind of really all of the anime that followed, I think, is tied directly back to it owes the release of this film and the creation of this film for its existence. If you like Chainsaw Man and you like Dan, then you should thank Katsuhiro Otomo. But I think it's worth noting where those beliefs come from.
But before we move on from the themes, and I hadn't really considered this too deeply, so this is just while you were talking about all the different themes, I considered this. And we've discussed before how you can almost shove any perspective and any message into almost anything.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you could be like, well, if you consider this, it might be this. And I got one of those. Akira could be like a Christ allegory. If you take away the whole fact of he himself transcended, but I'm considering Akira and Tetsuo. Tetsuo is trying to be like a god, and his own selfish ambitions overtakes him and almost corrupts him completely. That's sin. Sin is consuming him literally, and it's consuming those around him too. And they have to depend on someone outside of him to save him. That is very much a Christian theme.
Yeah.
Where salvation doesn't come from within Joel or Randy. Salvation comes from outside.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just like that literally occurred to me while you were talking, and I'm like, that's if you wanted to see that, you could like someone could write a paper on that easily.
Yeah, you could try to pull that out of there.
Yeah. You could pull a lot of stuff out of a lot of places. But like you were saying, I mean, like you could argue that. But then when you start looking at like the stuff that the other espers were saying about humans have it within us and stuff like it does break down when you consider the things that were actually said.
This sounds like a high school student or a high school teacher that is too much into Star Trek trying to explain evolution to kids. All the reason to just stay out of public schools.
But I would say similarly to like Evangelion, like even though the existential themes that are touched upon in Akira don't align with mine, it's fun. I enjoy it. I'm like, it's a cool thing to think about.
I guess that's one of the things about acknowledging creation and the truth and just being in a good spot with all of that is that I can watch any kind of fiction and enjoy it.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm going to laugh at things that are silly like this.
Yeah, I'm not going to like, Like
I'm not gonna like.
I'm not.
I'm not
I
gonna.
don't believe humans ever become gods of our own universes. So the idea that a human might do that is amusing.
I'm not gonna condemn this movie and say don't watch this because this is anti-Christian.
Yeah, no.
I'm gonna say this is a really cool movie with a lot of cool animation, and if you want to see some, if you want to laugh at some scientists trying to convince you about some kind of Big Bang thing, then
Yeah.
you can watch that scene of Kyoko talking.
Yeah.
And
Now the one part of Akira that I could point to and be like, that is referencing Christianity, is at the Singularity event. Like the screen is completely white. Kaneda is like floating in nothingness, and you hear, "I am Tetsuo," and Christ said, I am who I am. I am that I am." So that, to me, that could be what was kind of pointing at, well, he's becoming a god, is the I am part.
that's the difference between I think the Japanese culture and ours is it's a god, not the god.
Yeah.
He's,
Yeah.
he's wouldn't it be cool if I was just like one?
Yeah.
Well, you can't be. So
eat that fruit, and ye shall be as gods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let's see. Any other themes you want to talk about?
I think the obvious ones of the post-war stuff.
Yeah.
The follower of this thing, I think, is an interesting thing. If you like to get into, if I have any contribution to the world of anime and entertainment and stuff, it's to encourage people to go back and actually study history and see how much of what you enjoy as current properties and even past properties are things that are based off of lots of historical things, or are motivated by it and are influenced by it, and that it's not all just some crazy guy came up with this cool comic, that it's born out of a series of events that shaped this whole part of the world.
The whole fatherlessness theme for Akira could very well be one of those things where, like, it's there. He wasn't explicitly talking about it, but it's just there. Like, you're saying, it was influenced by the culture.
He's in it.
Yeah.
Once you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I think it's kind of neat to be able to sort of see how somebody that grows up in that thing, the kind of world that they create. I don't think I would create the same kind of background world that he did. If I was creating the world that he made in Akira at this point, it would be based off of the last 6 years here.
Well, what we were saying, it's actually interesting that how appropriate the world that they created back in the 80s feels as an allegory for today.
And I've always said that about, that's
really
what always
good.
fascinates me with Japan, is like they have this weird, I guess because they're not tied to our same kind of beliefs and things, that they have this weird observational power that almost is like kind of prophetic about where our country is going and stuff. There's a lot of things in a lot of these shows that are like, wow, that's a crazy future. And then like, oh yeah, that happened in that's Baltimore last year. Or that's this place last year.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because a lot of the themes that they deal with are just like what it is to be human.
Yeah.
And in the end, no matter the culture, we are human.
Well, if you think about all the stuff in the news too, there are very few things that have happened here in the last little bit that really involve Japan. Right. They, even when you get back to the pandemic stuff, they're just like, see you guys, like, you're not coming here, we're not going there. Yeah. They sort of closed themselves off, and you had all this crazy stuff going on in Australia and in Europe and in here, and they're just like, nah, y'all aren't coming here. Man, it seemed like they're on the sidelines watching the world a lot more than they are sticking their fingers into everything in the world.
They're the salary man. They are the salary man of the world. They got their head down. They're going forward. They got their job. They're doing their job.
And I think that gives
they're not having kids.
That gives them that unique position to just be able to see the rest of the world, I think, in a way that everybody else doesn't, because we're always thinking of what about us, or how does this benefit us, or how does this affect us, and blah blah blah. And they're just like, kind of feel like sometimes they're sitting back, like just watching like a tennis match, like, man, y'all are some crazy daggone people. keep that stuff over there, don't bring it here.
Well, in our next segment, we're going to talk about how Akira affected media. So there's talk about the legacy of Akira.
Tons of stuff to go with that. We'll try to pick a few.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you in that one
later.